The revolutionaries are more of Sabo and Monkey D. Dragon, you know? I don't know why I said that in a very accenty way. Because that's not the accent. That's not, it's like a different, one accent, switch it with another accent. Monkey D. Dragon, yeah. So it's like revolutionaries, yeah. Well, actually, they're not even politicians, really. They're revolutionaries, but I guess they want to rule the lands that they're going into. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And actually, holy shit, while we're on that topic, let's... this is a tangent I want to go into. And maybe this is like, clip this out, make a separate video, and then start all over again. On the Luffy one, this is like, BAM! So Monkey D. Dragon, the revolutionary, and Sabo, there's not a very clear picture. We don't have a picture of what the fuck their politics are. Holy shit! Oh! This is... This gets me a little. We know that their politics are contrary to the world government, which is like very dictatorial and, you know, like evil. Evil's the most simple way of putting it. I know that doesn't have much of a political, like, feel to it, but evil, yes, very just, controlling, authoritarian, you know, just very fucked up. Anyways. So we know it's opposite to, it's like opposite to them. It's like, oh, it's not those guys. But what do you actually believe? And we haven't seen them for shit, at least up to where the show is playing out. Can't speak for the manga. But the anime itself, we don't know what their politics are. It's like, okay, so we know, we can infer a few things, we can deduce some of these things. It's like, okay, so they're cool with, you know, the cross-dressing trans Okama world, you know? They're cool with that world. They like those people. They like cyborgs named Bartholomew Kuma. Not sure why they like him. Not sure his story. That's a whole another sort of angle that they've not unwinded that much yet, or enough to really deduce. Who are we dealing with? What are their politics? Then we, you know, so Bartholomew Kuma is a mystery. We've got, like, why is he a cyborg? Who is Dr. Vegapunk? Is Dr. Vegapunk good or bad? It's like, these are some questions rolling on. It's like, what's going on in this show? So we got Vegapunk, you know. Vegapunk's a whole nother mystery. It's like, okay, making, like, weapons for the world government, and there's this, like, weird, like, I don't know if you'd call it ironic. That might just be the fallacy. But there's this, like, comical, at the very least, use of the word pacifist. Pacifista. You know? And it's like, oh, why? Why? Like, this thing is like, I mean, a fucking killing machine. I don't know if anyone's really been killed in the show by a pacifista. Oh, I don't know. Have they? But like pacifists, my god! Pacifists are just like these huge anti-war people. No, even if someone comes up and attacks me and hates me and punches me down, even if that happens, then they're just like, nope, not gonna fight back. Like, I don't know, like, maybe if they're not gonna do that and they have the ability to in a certain circumstance, like, not a war circumstance, but like, normal society where, like, we're protected against fighting kind of circumstance, then they'd be able to, like, oh, I'll just run away. But, like, in a war, no, not gonna happen. I mean, like a true defensive war, which is probably the only war that a pacifist would ever end up in, unless there's like some sort of nasty, hardcore fucking draft. You know, so, hey guys, by the way, we're just gonna draft you into War for Oil. How about that? Yeah, sounded good, we'll throw a bunch of propaganda your way so that you'll believe it's very, very virtuous, and we will make sure to manufacture your consent, don't worry. But anyways, bouncing back to the Revolutionaries, we got Kuma's the mystery, Vegapunk's the mystery. Does Vegapunk have a connection besides Kuma to the Revolutionary Army? Does Vegapunk have absolutely no connections to the Revolutionaries, but Kuma is his Kuma is his one connection? Then we've got the politics of the Revolutionaries. There's still like nothing. Like let's review what we went through. It's like Dragon has like stood out on a balcony talking to Ivankov, you know. Blackbeard has fucked their base up. Dragon has picked up Sabo, you know, from Goa Empire, or Goa Kingdom, Goa Empire. What the fuck is Goa Empire? Goa Kingdom. You know, these terms are relative. Goa Kingdom area, the fucking, you know, where his ship was shot by the celestial dragons. Jesus! Straight up these, like, fucking tyrants that, like, I don't... Alright. You're killing me here for a second here. Tyrants! Alright, that's not important. That's not important. Tyrants are evil motherfuckers. I don't know if attacking people as the fucking leader of a nation or something because they're like standing right in front of you, or that boat came across my bow. I'm gonna shoot it down. And don't ask me why they have that kind of an accent. It just seems very fitting for celestial dragons. As absolutely, I'm not, everyone's not everyone. There have been many countries that have their moment of empire. You know. And celestial dragons are actually, I don't know if I could really say that they're more nasty than history. They're more sensationalized than history, if anything. You know, it's like, okay, this is the leader, this is the guy who puts himself on the fucking newspapers and puts out the propaganda and, like, pushes his agenda, and this is the public face, you know, of this empire, of this kingdom, of this whatever. So, you know, this world government for the case of the celestial dragons, it's like, it's one of those things where you lose your thought. It's one of those things where the, like, bad PR that a government does usually is something they relegate to the, like, this is not going to be reported on. Brush it away, and have the public figure's face on that at all would just be like the worst thing in the world for these people. Like, they would be shitting the bed times 10 million. As we've seen when a politician fucks up, you know? Or when some sort of, you know, religious political games, you know, games behind the scenes are just playing out in the news. You know, I don't know how much, you know, there's plenty going on in the dark, you know, in the confidentials and the top secrets in that area of the fucking world. The CIA, the intelligence agencies, and all of their nefarious business, toppling governments and fun things like that. You know, but notice them! They don't really have a huge public face. I mean, like, at this point, what is it, yeah, I mean, they don't have a huge public face, you know? Like, they're not trying to, like, advertise, oh, we did this today in this country over here. Oh, we were just down in Venezuela the other day, trying to, undermine Maduro. It's like, no. This is not stuff that they're not going in the New York Times and like, oh yeah, by the way, this is what we did the other day. No, this is what secret intelligence agencies really decide is like, when they're doing fucked up shit, and they're doing, like, you know, if anyone's doing the celestial dragon level kind of like fucked up shit in this world, it's probably the intelligence agencies and the military, you know. And Lord knows, for defense, for true fucking defense against an actual attack on our country, I'm very much love the military, appreciate their service, but that shit doesn't happen, because we're always on the offense in the USA, you know? Anyways, with the Celestial Dragons, it's much different. They're doing this in public, in the middle of the most important street in town. And they're just trotting down, having every single person around them go to their fucking knees and avert their eyes for these fucking tyrants. And they are usually the goofiest, most, like, inbred looking fuckers in the world. Like, what can I say? Like, least exercised, most inbred. Like, least attractive characteristics. Everything genetically is going wrong with them right now. That's what I'm trying to say. And, like, all it takes is one person to, like, oh no! And this is, like, the comical one, right? It's like, I'm running across with a fucking dying person and we're trying to get him to the hospital here. And they're like, no! Shoot you! It's like, what the fuck? So yeah, Celestial Dragons are way more out in the open about their bullshit then, you know, it's very sensationalized, it's very publicized evil. It's like, they don't care. I mean, the newspaper fucking dude ain't running around there picking up those stories, but quite frankly, that shit travels. I mean, that news travels amongst the pirates, right? Probably. I mean, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just sensationalized for the audience. You know, they get to see all sides of the stories. But maybe for, like, the people in East Blue, if you really think about it, do they know? Do any of them know that some fuckers are, like, shooting up a bunch of people who are just like trying to run by, you know, just because they're not kneeling and averting their eyes, or do they know? Well, I mean, I guess they do know. No. Let's be fucking fair. They do know because these fuckers get around. These celestial dragons get around. They make sure that every single community knows how evil and fucked up these tyrants really are. Now, these communities might not be communicating these things between each other. You know, some shit that goes down in Sabundi of Archipelago is not going to be known very well in, like, Goa Kingdom and East Blue. But if those two people ever met the fuck up, they'd be like, oh yeah, that's my story too. Yeah, they just shot up some dude's boat. The little kid on it, his boat, they shot it, he died. You know, it's like, this is what they do. This is dangerous, you know. So when we're talking, let's rewind back here to the very basic first fucking premise before all of these tangents to make this a really long broadcast. A really long stream. Is that all we know for the most part is that Monkey D. Dragon and the Revolutionary Army are not that. They're opposed to that. This is like, that's their politics. That's the one grain of their politics. No, like, oh, we're going to, I don't know, like, make the world a better place for everyone. Something like that. I don't know. We're going to not be tyrants. Like, that's the only thing we know. Is like, or maybe we don't even know. Let's be honest. A political revolution could, very often, let's talk real stuff for a moment here. A real revolution in a lot of these countries does not mean like, oh, just because we're opposed to the tyrants doesn't necessarily mean, you know, a lot of times it really ends up being. We are also going to be the tyrants, but we're just going to be the tyrants as opposed to being the ones who are getting, like, fucked by the tyrants. You know, it's like, this is the only shift we really want to make, you know. It's a very minor shift. We don't have bold beliefs as to where this country should go. We just want to be the ones tyrannically ruling everyone else. You know, it's like, that's, for some revolutions, it's as simple as that. Now, all the revolutionaries who went into that and believed that and, like, followed that leader, they might not have necessarily believed that it was like, oh, let's just switch from one tyrant to the other. I don't really know how those kind of revolutions work on the, like, real deep inside of them. But regardless of whether they knew or not, it's very clear that, you know, I'm doing way too vague with these things here. I have to just get back to One Piece. Because it's like broad revolution topic altogether. It's like, okay, well, there's the Russian Revolution, there's the American Revolution, there's the there's revolutions in all sorts of third world countries, there's revolutions in all sorts of, you know, other countries. We got so many countries in the world. There's many revolutions. I can't think of them all. And they all had different outcomes. Every single one of them had its own unique individual outcomes, some of which obviously might have some sort of, you know, historical precedent or, like, clear, like, distinct, oh, this was a sign of the times, this revolution happened, and that revolution happened, and this blah, 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 blah. You know, it's like, we can see patterns in this. You know, all the historians probably be able to go great in detail on that one. But, I keep going on tangents, and I should just give up at this point, because this is what this video is about. This is what this video is about. I should just title it General One Piece Discussion. And just give up on focusing on any one goddamn thing. Because I just can't stop doing it the way I'm doing it right now. Oh. But really, the Revolutionary Army, do they have any at all politics? Or are they just like the tyrants that are going to take over after the other tyrants? Now, the clear feeling of the show, you know, not the like this is what we're actually telling you, but like this is where we want to lead you in the story, you know, that side of things. That's usually saying, yeah, the Revolutionary Army, these are good guys, they care about people, you know, Dragon saved his son, and Dragon saved his son's friend, and you know, saving all sorts of people from the world government and from the celestial dragons and all this stuff. Now, at the very, 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 very moment we're coming up to, so spoilers, motherfuckers, if you hadn't known already where I'm going with this. The reverie, it's like, oh yeah, we're just kind of like, after our base was like really fucked by Blackbeard, you don't really know what happened to any of us. Like, the reporters were not able to make a story beyond that. Lord knows they'd probably be better reporters if that was the case. Now there's some clear distinction. Like, One Piece is so like 19-something. Because everything's done by a newspaper, like... you know, so how about like some cell phone reporting there? You're gonna get a lot more. You're gonna get a lot more of some random person is like, you know, at the place that this fight runs to. Or actually, if someone's there, it would only be the Revolutionary Army and Blackbeard. So if that fight, you know, if that fight did anything other than if that fight did escape that location, the base of the Revolutionaries, well, shit. Then yeah, people will probably know about it and be able to like pick it up on smartphones. It's like, what's going on here? This is crazy. People with devil fruits powers doing crazy shit to each other. Oh my god. Or like, that ship's running from that ship. What's going on there? You know, it's like, oh, and the level of population saturation in a fucking One Piece real world situation. That would be crazy! That would be absolutely crazy! I mean, think about that. It's like, okay, our population on this, like, small dot with, like, one big land strip going through, you know, bunch of dotty islands in a big, giant ocean. Oh, yeah, our population has just reached about, 7 billion. Like, oh my god, that'd be crazy. Alright, I really can't talk for hours on end. Not at the level I've been doing, because it's like absolutely mad how I've been doing this. Full of energy today. But, you know, there'd be a lot of phone stories for sure there. It's like, this ship passed by my ship today, and my friend's ship over there, where he sells, you know, some of the good old cannabis, to a bunch of pirates on the sea. His ship, completely unregulated, of course, because he's a pirate as well. That's only just recently that the governments of some of these places, some of these crazy little, you know, and this is where One Piece goes a little further. It's like, these places are not even globalized yet. You know, world government. It's like, One Piece is like both in the past and in the future at the same time. And I guess that makes a whole lot of sense, because that's how they describe the Grand Line Islands. It's like, oh yeah, there's some past, some prehistoric islands, and then there are some future islands. It's like robots and dinosaurs. Okay, we've got it all. You know, it's like the same time. Their history, you know, the way their shit worked is like world government, world government and like small populations as well as technology has not gone past those islands. It's like the majority of the world, oh, here's a newspaper, oh, here's a letter, oh, like the closest thing you get to technology in that circumstance is like these weird, almost like, well, we don't know if they're magics or technologies. Is the Vivre card a technology? Or is it like devil's fruit? And is the devil's fruit a technology? Or is it like a magic that just appeared in the world? And how does One Piece fit into all of this? We still don't know! But like, I don't know, does the Revolutionary Army have a politics under the devil's fruit? I mean, obviously they approve enough of them that they're, allowing a number of their, leaders to get them as well as their second in command, and they're first in command. What am I talking about? Dragon has a power! So maybe, wait, are they like not devil's fruit now? This position wouldn't make a whole lot of sense, seeing as there's only a certain, actually, we're not sure. There's at least a whole book's worth of devil's fruits in the world, right? Okay, so this is, inevitably, it would be pretty hard to be anti-devil's fruit unless there's a lot of devil's fruits in that book, It's not like one page after the other, it's like, oh, there's like 3 million, devil's fruits in this whole entire book. There's like 3 million devil's fruits in this whole entire book, and there's 3 million people in this entire world, so we have one for everyone if people were just brave enough to take them. No, I don't know. I don't know how many devil's fruits there are. This is a mystery. I don't know how many devil's fruits there are. This is a very open-ended question. I don't know how many people in the world there are. That's an even more open-ended question. And less of a curiosity that most people would be dealing with when thinking about One Piece. It's like, oh yeah, there's like 300 people here in Goa Kingdom, and there's about 500 people, there's 5 million people, there's 500 people over in East Blue, overall in East Blue, and there's about 700 in West Blue, and there's about 1,000 actually over there in, South Blue, North Blue is just crazy. Fucking North Blue, there's like fucking 13,300 people over there. But the real hit is on the Grand Line. Some islands by themselves have populations of 19,000 people. Upwards of that sometimes even. And don't get me started about, good old Mary Hoja, where the celestial dragons are, which we're just about to see a little bit more detail of in the show. Because their population's up there in the Holy Land. Woo! Don't get me started about that. It's I've never even heard this amount before, but this is, oh no, I've heard this amount in bounty posters. What am I talking about? It's in the millions. It's in the millions. Their populations up there are really large. We don't know any of this. We don't know any of this. None of this is told. So all these mysteries that in a normal, real political situation we'd have on hand where it's the population size is something d thousand, not something d million. There are cell phones, there's so much going on here that we don't have. And on none of these topics is the Revolutionary Army really stepping in. I mean, we know they showed up at that bridge project, that really weird, insane, slave labor bridge project. We know they showed up there, and we know they don't like that, So it's okay, good. They didn't like, well, but I don't know. Do we really know that they didn't like just take over the project themselves? Like for real? Like no, I don't know. I think we don't know. We know that. We know that. We know that. It was very clearly articulated in the story. But still, like for all we like if we were putting it into a real world situation, it's like okay, the bridge project stops because this is war right now. We're too busy at war, draining the country's resources. Sucking up the labor force into military inclusion, actually fighting another army. Like, this is something that I find to be really, really strange that we haven't heard of yet, because this makes very little sense. I mean, like, I suppose it does make sense, like, the Revolutionary Army is, like, are they a small army, or are they a big army? The force is, like, way more of a guerrilla force, because they're not, like, showing up, like, we don't even hear about battlefields, let's be honest. Like, are there battlefields? Like, okay, like, their headquarters, that was the battlefield. That was probably the first battlefield we've really heard about. Like, other than that, we know, like, Dragon was snooping around in Goa. It was, like, literally snooping around with a fucking cloak over his head so you couldn't see the giant fucking weird tat down his fucking face. It was like some sort of tribal tattoo. I'm Dragon. I'm Monkey D. Dragon. It was like, just shield head, like, hiding, like, same thing in, like briefly showing up, like randomly showing up, just him as far as we know of, in Lodge Town, right before, it's like, Logue Town, the smoker's just like, oh, why are you here? It's like, damn! Oh. They have no politics. They have no politics, they have no politics, they have no politics. They at the end of a war in the real world, after all the resources are drained, after all the manpower is drained, after all the fucking guns and stuff are pumped into this, guns and military might and research and all this other crap, after all that's said and done, then they decide, oh, well, a lot of times it's like, we're gonna continue that bridge project. That was actually pretty good what they were doing. I like it. Now that I'm in charge, you guys can, like, slave away. No big deal, right? So we don't know. We don't know, other than how the story is guiding us. And a story that does not often mislead us, It's not a very psychological thriller of any stretch of the imagination. Guns is pretty straightforward, on the path towards the adventure, One Piece Grand Line, New World. It's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious where we're going. It's like, oh yeah, these guys are good guys. This is Monkey D. Dragon, saved Luffy, saved Sabo, saved a bunch of people in a bunch of places. All sorts of good stuff. Hung out with Nico Robin. Like, but this is like, these are all the social aspects of the Revolutionary Army for the most part. Social plus, like, the really action-oriented kind of moments. Not even, keep in mind, not battlefields, not big battlefields. We still haven't seen Baltigo. We still have not seen their base, their main base. Not at all. Mystery how this is going. Still have not seen their base. Oh, I'm never gonna get back to what would Luffy do. Fuck what would Luffy do. This is so much better. This is so much better, because they have no politics! They have no politics! They won't show a battlefield. There was a war, but apparently the Revolutionary Army doesn't get involved in actual wars. You know, like, a pirate in the world government, they're trying to execute one of his commanders. No, that's not our business. No. This has there's no strategic opportunity here for us, the Revolutionary Army, to get involved in a war with the world government where another giant fucking power is going after them. No, I mean, I suppose there could be some politics here involved that they could be getting into, like, well, there's Big Mama, and there's, Redhead Shanks, and there's, can't forget about, this other big guy here, much more of a mystery, but we're gonna involve him to the show a little bit more, much sooner. As soon as we get over to a certain samurai stronghold, soon. We'll get into him later, but these people are a big deal. All these people. Now I gotta think about the worst generation too. I mean, they just appeared in Sabondi just a little while ago. The archipelago, you know? So there's some serious shit going on here. One moment. Alright. But no, this is the serious point. This is the point that we're talking about, right? It's the revolutionaries. Like, they could be thinking about those kinds of politics. Well, there's other powers in the world, you know? Or there's other more important things to do than you know, well, I don't know. Maybe there is more work to do than just toppling the world government. Because honestly, you could probably topple. Well, I guess, yeah. The celestial dragons. That's another one. That's another one they have to be concerned about. What would that piece do in this game of chess if they decided to show up there at that time? That would be some crazy shit. Actually, wait. The snails. If we're talking about technology here, the snails, the Den Mushi. It's like they have projectors. Well, I guess projectors were kind of old too. So they don't have television. They have projectors. So the Den Mushis and the projectors. So they're at least in the like 1950s, you know, 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, you know. Just a wee bit before the internet, technologically speaking. Overall, this world has such a strange layout, you know, it's like some things are back in the past, other things are here in the future. We got projectors, but we also only do like newspapers and delivery by bird. I mean, we got a lot of seagulls, let's be real. The population of seagulls to pass out these newspapers is actually much, much larger than the population of humans. This is actually about 30 million. 40 million, sorry, 40 million seagulls. Their population has gone up in the last 10 years. They were about 30 million before. Now they're at about 40 million. So the seagulls, they're growing. They're growing. And all they do, all day long, is pass out some fucking newspapers saying, you know, this happened at the Revolutionary Army's headquarters. This happened at Marine headquarters. This happened. Or, you know, at Dress Rosa, you know. Guess what just happened at Cake Island? I mean, some serious shit's going on. Luffy went into Big Mama's territory and tore shit up. Like, her whole fucking cake fell down. They fucking put a bomb at the bottom there. And this is the other thing, too. And maybe this comes to the real crux of why it doesn't get into politics, is we do not get to read that newspaper. We don't get to read that newspaper. My God, if there was ever a good fucking marketing idea, Oda, make that newspaper. Make that newspaper, throw it to your corporate friends over in, you know, Bondi or whatever, whoever's dealing with whatever studio it is that I can't think of right now. And make this goddamn newspaper, or hell, you could just throw up like newspaper tweets, you know. Let's get this shit going. Let's get this shit going. I want to see that newspaper. I want to see the full story and read this propaganda, because we know this is a good, dirty piece of fucking propaganda. And by good, I mean like evil as shit. I don't mean like, oh yeah, I love propaganda. It's like, I love that piece that they did back in the day when they said, you know, this is how we were, WMDs, guys. That was a great thing to remember, right? I mean, I love them. It's like, I love the fact that they weren't even there. Isn't that great? That's the whole reason we went in. Oh, sorry, wait. He had a connection to Al-Qaeda. Oh, let's talk about that one. Oh my god. Hey guys, do you realize that Saddam has everything to do with Al-Qaeda? Oh, by the way, I mean, that didn't really pan out, so what about WMDs here? Oh, by the way, that didn't pan out. Well, war's been going on for years. I mean, we toppled Saddam a long time ago. What can I say? Sorry? I mean, but I want to see the propaganda in the One Piece newspapers. Like, that's some shit. That's some shit. Like we hear it every now and then when they like read out like a few interesting lines from it, but the story there is not very well developed. It's like, oh yeah, Luffy, they're saying you did this. Oh. Okay. And all of this after Raleigh. After Raleigh tells him you should read the goddamn newspaper and be informed, Luffy. After all of that, the audience still is not informed about what's going on in these newspapers. We get the headline. The headline, we can't read through the actual story. And we don't know the politics of the Revolutionary Army. This could be, let's be fair, because we don't have the newspaper to read. Though, let's be fair, the propaganda outlet, they would not seriously do the politics of the Revolutionary Army. But it would be a good propaganda piece now, wouldn't it? These people are evil, they're dictators, they're committing an evil atrocity in their country. There's some, well, of course, it's not their country. They don't have a country. Right? Well, in Baltigo, believe me, there's actual citizens there. And they don't like what's going on. You know, it's like, this isn't just a stronghold on an island, you know. No. There's actual citizens. Or the liberated fronts. Like, are there liberated fronts? Like, what's going on here? Is it guerrilla warfare? We don't know. Even the military war aspects of this, nothing. Silence. Peeps, peeps, beep, 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 beep. Crickets, Peepers, actually, rather. Fuck the crickets. I like the crickets as much as the next guy. They're pretty lucky little fellows. But them peepers, they make the night. I'm telling you. That's what I'm telling you. The peepers make the night. So, all we're hearing is peepers, All we're hearing is the peepers. Those little frogs. Which, by the way, little tangent worth mentioning. Them frogs are struggling. We have to get off of this fucking disgusting fossil fuel industry and stop having, like, them suck the government's fucking teat and all this other shit. We don't need to subsidize that. That's another thing that the One Piece world doesn't have to deal with. This One Piece world devoid of politics and devoid of, actual information on war besides, like, okay, let's focus in and zoom in on one little pirate war. Or a little pirate war. Please, fans, don't kill me for saying it was a little pirate war. It was not little. That was a big deal. It's a very big deal. That was like a crux point in the show that like first you had to impel down, it was like first he heard about it in Boy Hancock's area, and then he went to impel down, and then he went to Marineford. This stuff's serious. This stuff is serious, And then the ship fell from the sky. I mean, my God. So much went on. Whitebeard died. Ace died. And Luffy's still alive. Hey! So I think that just about rounds it up. There is no politics. I mean, like, I don't know how much more I could make that clear to you by I would have to describe the whole show and be like, they didn't do this, they didn't do that, they didn't do this, they didn't do that, they didn't do this, they didn't show that. We don't know what they stand for. We don't know. They don't have a message. Period. It's like the celestial dragons must have gotten a hold of the actual producers of the show. They must have grabbed Oda, They must have figured something out, because we're not hearing this. We don't have the details. The corporate control is real. No, it's a fiction. It doesn't have to get into that depth. I mean, Lord, he'd be a writer if that was the case, right? Not that TV couldn't get in that depth. I mean, really, you could probably make a really... it would have to be a really long show. I mean, no, you could make those scenes quicker, honestly. Rather than describing a whole scene. Mr. Blah, 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 had a blah, blah, blah shirt on with colored tie and... a disheveled look. His hair was all a mess, and his beard was... well, he didn't have a beard. He had, little stubble going on. He hadn't shaved in a few days. It's like... TV can do that all in one image. And that can be the greatest thing in the world, or, the most draining part of the story. Oh, well, that part was so well described in the writing. Versus, they just got straight to the point and kept moving. Yep, his face was like that, his hair was disheveled, everything was crazy. I saw it with my own fucking eyes. I got it from my own perspective. I didn't have to hear it through a voice and then interpret it this way or that way or the other way. Oh, it was right there. Right in my face. Right in my face. I mean, boom! Like that, the dick and the balls and everything. No, I mean, it was just like a straight up vagina with clitoris and woof, right there, right in front of me, sticking in my eyes. It's like, you wouldn't get it on public television, but at the same time, it's still, meets the guidelines. No, you would get that on public television. It'd just be nighttime television or something. I don't know. Well, I don't know. Would you call that adult? No, you wouldn't call that adult. Screw all that. Screw all these content censoring, controlling, fucking authoritarian, crazy people. It's bad enough that the government's authoritarian. Why the fuck do we want social authoritarianism as well? I mean, fuck that. Let people be, Let's espouse some social libertarianism or some social liberalism. I mean, how about a mix of both, please?